Why is Roman Reigns' hair always wet? Well, I'll tell you, it's because he likes to roam in Reigns. I tell you what, Kevin Owens has launched this new personal website of his, but I don't like it. There's too many pop-ups. And finally, what do you get when you cross Val Venus with the man William Regal used to call Umanga back in the day? I'll tell you what, you get a Randy Savage. I'm Ross Twiddell from Cultaholic Wrestling, and once again, I'm sorry, but I'm also here with your Tuesday morning wrestling headlines. WWE have released some long-serving personnel in the midst of a global pandemic once again. A huge return is happening at Survivor Series 2020 to honour The Undertaker. Whoa there, Cultaholic Wrestling. We cannot be clickbaiting that one. The return we're speaking about here, everybody, it's only Savio bloody Vega. We could be going through No Way Out 1998 all over again. And to be honest with you, I can't be arsed with that crushing disappointment here on this very Tuesday morning. So the return we'll be talking about in a bit is Savio Vega. We're kind of clickbait that one, man. How are Cultaholic? You're better than that. And a top AEW star wants to launch a political career when he retires from the ring. We'll find out who in a bit. Now slap me if you've heard this one before, but WWE have released some long-serving personnel in the midst of a global pandemic. Oh, bloody hell, what the hell are you doing, man? It's just a figure of speech, you dick. Now this one's been confirmed by the likes of PW Insider and Figure 4 Online, but one of the most notable names released yesterday as we're stood here, right here on Tuesday morning, is none other than former SmackDown ring announcer himself, Mr. Tony Chimel, who younger viewers may know as the guy who lives in the apartment above Edge and Beth Phoenix's garage, and he comes out of that apartment once every couple of years to say the word superstar like he's bitten his tongue halfway through saying that word. Superstar! Tony Chimel. Chimel has had some sort of association with WWE since all the way back in 1983. But in 1989, he became a part of the ring crew with Joey Morella, who of course was the refereeing son of Gorilla Monsoon. From there, Chimel was allowed to fill in doing ring announcing spots here and there before he became SmackDown's number 2 guy behind Funaki, of course, in 1999, and all of that happened thereafter. And I tell you what, it's a bloody shame when you hear long-serving names like Tony Chimel getting released from WWE, especially in the midst of a global pandemic. Another notable release from the company is that of Spanish commentator Jerry Soto, who had been with WWE since 2011, but who also had been furloughed earlier this year. And also the WWE Director of Venue Merchandise and Remote Operations, Mr. Derek Castleman, who had been with the company since 1993, by the way, he's been released as well. And that could be an interesting one when you remember that WWE, of course, are currently residing inside the Thunderdome. Could this hint at maybe WWE changing the way they do their business once, of course, January the 1st, 2021 hits and this whole coronavirus thing, it realises, oh, 2020's done with. We're now in 2021. It's time to pack up my bags and leave. I just don't understand people who sit there going, oh, I'm done with this year. I can't wait for next year. Like the virus is going to go away on New Year's Day 2021. And of course, while you might be saying, Ross, while they are in the Thunderdome today, why do they need the Director of Venue Merchandise and Remote Operations when neither are they remote or are they selling merchandise at venues around the world? But I'm saying to you, why would you fully release somebody when you've got the intention of going back to that in hopefully a few short months' time? Now, of course, as professional wrestling fans, we all know we like to read too much into a certain situation without knowing all the details. It's what we do best. But reading into this release in particular, could WWE be about to forget about house shows and live events? Could WWE be about to become a solely television company, just doing their weekly TV shows and a pay-per-view once a month? Could it happen? The biggest shift, potentially, the wrestling business has seen. Ever? Maybe? I don't know. 1, 2, Bond Street crew coming through, sniffing glue, you dafties. Not my words, not even the words of Tom Campbell, whose bit that is that I've recklessly stolen. I'm sorry, Tom, but those are the words of the national anthem belonging to WWE backstage group, the Bone Street Crew. BSK Pride! The Undertaker, Henry Godwinn, The Godfather, Mideon, Yokozuna, Bryan Adams, Rikishi, Paul Bearer, Mr. Fuji, and finally, last but not least, the kayfabe father of Zelina Vega, Mr. Savio Vega himself. They were the Bone Street Crew backstage in WWE back in the 90s. Yes, of course, Savio Vega is coming back at Survivor Series 2020, which of course is the show where we will bid a final farewell. It's going to be bloody emotional, isn't it? A final farewell to The Undertaker. A BSK brother is coming back to say bye-bye to his pal. And there's no doubt about it. After the show, The Undertaker and Savio Vega, they'll drink whiskey, they'll play cards, they'll go to strip bars and do other manly things. Good for them. IWA Puerto Rico. Doesn't that sound silly in my ridiculous Geordie accent? They were the ones to announce Savio Vega's return to WWE when they tweeted Kwang/Savio Vega will be back in WWE, this time to be present during the retirement of his great friend and brother, The Undertaker, who culminates a successful career exactly 30 years after his first appearance at Survivor Series 1990. And just like I referenced at the top of this very news video, I'm thankful this return has been announced ahead of time and not teased like it was ahead of No Way Out 1998, because that, bluntly, was dog rough. Looking forward to seeing Savio again though. And in an interview with Bleacher Report's Chris Mueller, AEW EVP Cody Rhodes has announced he intends to retire from professional wrestling within the next 5 years and then head off into a career in politics. Here's what Cody Rhodes told Chris. He said, "I'm 35 and I said I only want to wrestle for 5 more years. I have political aspirations. I would love to run for the Senate in the great state of Georgia. I want to help with the sphere of influence I have created. I always say if you do the work, it will pay off." Go on! And you might be asking me, just in case you don't know the professional wrestling, why Georgia, Ross? Why does Cody Rhodes care about Georgia? Well, he was born in Marietta, Georgia, and he went to Lassiter High School in the city, so that's why. All the best to Cody Rhodes in the next 5 years' time. And I tell you what, after not only becoming the EVP of one of the biggest professional wrestling companies in the world, and also booking himself to be that big professional wrestling company's #1, just about, babyface, and after not only giving himself a world title feud in that company's first year of existence, and having also held the TNT title 2 times in just about the first year of that company's existence, I reckon Cody Rhodes is good at the politics. Yes, the cynical arsehole inside of me reckons that Cody Rhodes must be one hell of a politicking bastard. And sometimes you stand here in front of a camera and say things you don't mean. I've taken politics, I've taken wrestling, I've tried to put them together, and I've come out with something that doesn't really work. I love Cody Rhodes. He's fantastic. I hope he does well in his career. And then on top of that, relating to AEW, this week's Dynamite had a match, a surprise tag team title match announced ahead of time, but now, according to the likes of Figure 4 Online, that match has been cancelled with no reason given. Yes, new AEW Tag Team Champions, the Young Bucks, who of course defeated FTR at Full Gear on Sunday in one hell of a professional wrestling match. They were set to defend their titles this Wednesday against Airwolf and Angel Dorado of Top Flight, but that match is no longer happening and we don't know why. We've literally been young cooked here, haven't we, fans? We're all just a bunch of young cooks. And then finally, just before I go, as if 2020 hasn't been bad enough, I've got some crushing, soul-destroying news relating to the would-be relationship between Dave Bautista and Dana Brooke. Remember those days? They were such happy times. Dana Brooke spoke to Forbes. The actual Forbes. Was it a different Forbes? It had to have been a different Forbes, but it looks like it's the actual Forbes. She spoke to them about her would-be relationship with Dave Bautista when she said, "We went out, we were great friends. We've been to the meat market," of course they have, down in Tampa. We go to Edison, also in Tampa. We've kept in great contact. There's always been interest between Dave and I as far as friendships and everything. We share a lot in common as far as being in the business and outside, and being very passionate about giving back and charity work as well. Lovely. It's just with my schedule being so busy and Dave doing lots of movies, our times are very limited. But we still communicate. We still talk on a regular basis. My boyfriend now, who is called Uli, I guess that's how you say it, Uli Diaz, he himself, He himself, he's an animal. If they're going to fight over Dana Brooke, that's a fight I want to see. Bloody hell, they would rip each other's testicles off. But Dana continues. Uli and Dave, they have a lot in common as far as the fight game goes. So that should be one hell of a contest down the line when we battle it out like the medieval times for the fair hand of one Dana Brooke. So there we have it. Dave and Dana didn't become a thing. 2020 could not get any worse. Even though I'm sure Uli's a lovely man. And that's it for all your news headlines this fine, lovely Tuesday morning. I have been Ross Twiddell from Cultaholic Wrestling. Stay tuned to the Cultaholic Wrestling YouTube channel, of course, because later today we have Raw Graded with Mr. Tom Campbell. I'll be back with the WTF Moments for Raw tomorrow, which is Wednesday, I do believe. A brand new Straight to Hell is going up with myself and Carl Anderson ahead of Talking Shopper Mania this coming Friday, the 13th of November. Last night, which I think is Monday, a Straight to Hell with Rocky Romero from New Japan Pro Wrestling and Talking Shopper Mania fame. That went live. Lots of content here at Cultaholic Wrestling. Watch it all. You'll have a great time. I'll see you later today.